What if the future we want, the technology that will remake our world, is already inside of each of us? What if the future is our brain, unlocked? We see a future where patients with chronic illnesses find new independence, where we can monitor brain health data in real time and share it with the doctor, transforming data into customized treatments in the process. We're building a future where our brain can tell us when it's tired, so we'll always know when we need to take a break, to boost productivity and happiness. We see a future where music listens to us, to the way we're feeling at a neurological level, with custom playlists curated for our current mood. We're building a future where we even communicate differently, by thinking, not typing, turning thoughts into inputs, where we can tell our loved ones we're safe, just by thinking it. At Neurable, we're harnessing the power of the human brain to build the future we see. Not smaller screens and thinner bezels, not more technology, more human technology. We believe the future is a place where technology works for us while receding into the background. At Neurable, we're not waiting for the future. We're building it into the devices we use every day. Neurable, the mind unlocked.
Hello there. Improving human quality of life. A very ambitious project that our today's guest is actually set for himself. And his primary focus on neuroscience, including telepathic control of devices, brain diagnostics, and novel biomarkers of diseases, human brain disease. Well, we dealing with multiple businesses here. We know that James has actually founded several companies around the subject matter. Anyhow, extremely interesting and fascinating, I believe, for many of us. James, thank you so much for finding for letting me pull you from your busy schedule. I know that you're extremely busy, and it was very hard. It was very hard to get you.
Yeah, well, human quality of life is the thing that matters to me the most. And, you know, sharing what we do is educational, which benefits people. I actually learn a lot about myself through doing interviews. I don't prepare with scripts. I go organically.
It's the best. Usually you have to really have to enjoy, it's just until it's just conversation doesn't. Don't think about like numbers, ratings.
Yeah.
It's all about your own perspective, all about your own development and own understanding of surroundings.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get some of my best ideas through just a fantastic question that I haven't asked myself in a long time. So thank you so much for having me. It's nice to have a break from my busy, very stressful schedule. So yeah, to me, this is fun. So let's have some fun.
Yes, let's have some fun. So I found your companies like really fascinating, and it's the first time I saw them. So we are talking to a person who's like always like in a human brain space, and I'm always like searching for something, and for me it was new and it was very fascinating. So it feels like you're very, very dedicated to the subject matter. Do you have like maybe a specific life experience? Why, like, what motivated you to start?
Yeah, that's a good question. My parents are both physicians, and so that's always been a consistent part of my life. So it's hard to ignore, right? Them being doctors shapes the way that I think about things. My dad is a neuroradiologist, so the brain is something that I've seen pictures of as a kid, pictures of medical images that, most people wait until they're in medical school to see. And so I've I got a privileged experience in that sense. But ironically, I told my parents, I don't want to do medicine.
Why?
So, well, they also, when you're a doctor, you're telling everybody how stressed you are and how overworked you are. And I remember many family vacations where, my parents would be on call, usually my dad, and my dad would have to, step away and take care of something. So the lifestyle was difficult for me, and I feel so much sympathy for our physicians. I'm grateful for our physicians. And the reason I started building these types of technologies was actually to help physicians, and
Unload them. Unload.
help them unload. Yeah, and it's through that desire that's in my heart that I ended up falling into these directions. So, I had friends who were paralyzed, partially, fully. When I was at the University of Michigan studying electrical engineering, I wanted to build the future. And to me, it didn't matter what the future was. But when you do things like hackathons and you start thinking, okay, well, what am I going to build this weekend? You start listening to your heart. And I remembered some of those friends, and I thought, well, maybe I could build something like a mind-controlled wheelchair. And so the video you played at the beginning with Neurable, that was my reason for creating that company, which I didn't do alone. I was one of the founders, not even necessarily the main founder, but I created the technology. I became friends with neuroscientists. I trialed and errored. It took me about a year and a half, I think, to develop the first prototype of that technology. So it was not easy at all. But after building that technology, I realized there are ways to help even more. I learned that the people that I wanted to help, the paralyzed people, over half of them are paralyzed for reasons like cerebral palsy, ALS, diagnosable diseases that are also preventable with the right interventions.
Yes,
so
but they just got, they got to know too late. Yes.
Well, in most cases, they got to know too late. But in many cases, there just aren't the right therapies yet. And so I started.
People simply don't care about don't. They have bad time care about their own bodies. You know what I'm talking about? Some people, I know a lot of, especially men, they have hard time. They have to have hard time listening to the first symptoms.
Yeah, a lot of people, they might just want to push on, right? They have pain in their back, pain in their neck. Oh, whatever. It's a thing that happens, right?
Yes.
But with cerebral palsy, I mean, with Parkinson's, Michael J. Fox, Stephen Hawking. I mean, these are people who really motivated me as a kid. And so I thought maybe there's a bigger problem that I can solve. And so I actually left Neurable. Neurable, you saw from the video, they're doing lots of cool things. They've moved.
And how many devices? So we're talking about, like, can you please explain on which stage they are and what actually been done, what kind of products they have currently?
Well, so what I was, I was going to answer that. Maybe I'm reading your mind. We started as a mind reading company, and the goal of mind reading was to enable people to control things with their minds without needing to press a button or say anything, or fully mind controlled reality. So we started creating mind controlled cars, mind controlled. Some of them were Lego cars, some of them were real cars. Mind controlled video games. And my motivation there was to really help those people who are paralyzed. Neurable
or disabilities, because there are so many disabilities, including like vision here, who like cannot perform a lot of tasks.
Yeah, and Neurable attracted a lot of attention from very innovative investors, and a lot of attention from very forward-thinking individuals who saw a larger vision for mind control, everything like what you saw in the video, and not just mind control. Being able to listen to the music according to your mood, all sorts of really cool technologies. But when that happened, that video, I actually left the company. And I left the company because it was at that point that I realized I actually didn't want to make things that were cool. The James then was different from the James who, was in college doing hackathons.
Why?
I realized, well, because I started to appreciate my upbringing and how my parents are doctors and how I want to make patients' lives better, and that these people who are paralyzed, I think they need more attention. And I think that they don't need to be paralyzed. I think that we can stop that cycle. We can break that cycle. And so to me, that became a more important problem. So
basically prevention, understanding the disease.
Yeah,
itself.
yeah. So where Neurable expanded and wanted to bring the technology to everything, I felt like we hadn't done enough for the patients. So I talked to my team and I found someone to replace me on the tech side, and I left and I started Vistim Labs. And Vistim Labs is focused on brain imaging. And what we do is we facilitate the diagnosis. And probably more important than the facilitating of the diagnosis is monitoring of therapy. You know, some of these diseases are still, they don't have solutions, they don't have cures. Alzheimer's and Parkinson's being big ones. And, you know, it's not for lack of trying. It's for one simple reason. We are developing these therapies fully blind with our eyes closed, throwing darts at the wall and seeing what happens. The way that we monitor therapies right now, the way that we evaluate if they're good or not good for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, is we look at surveys. We ask someone to fill out a questionnaire, do you feel healthy today or not? And it's, you know, I don't know any disease that would work for. You know, if you were trying to treat someone with diabetes, you're not going to ask them what their blood sugar level is. You have to measure it. And you know, same thing with their insulin, and not just diabetes. You know, if someone has cancer, you don't ask them if they're feeling better to know that their tumor is going away. You look at the tumor. And so that's why I created Vistim Labs, because we need to close that loop. I've seen enough PET scans, you know, especially through my dad, of patients where their brains are deteriorating to know that what we have right now on an imaging side is not enough to know that the person's getting better or getting worse. All that we can see is the state that they are in today, and that it's bad. And if you give them a therapy, you don't see any change. You have to wait over a year before you see that the person's brain is either continuing to shrink or maybe it's not shrinking as quickly, which to me is terrible. So what we've done with Vistim is we've created a new imaging modality that can measure the smallest possible changes in brain structure and brain function. I mean, we have some really exciting results. Our product is going to be live.
Are you collecting data from the devices? Like, for example, a person still has to go somewhere to take an imaging of the brain, or it's how you take it, how you basically manage, how you.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. So what I've invented is called evoked potential tomography. You stimulate neurons one at a time, and you see how the stimulus excites the targeted neuron, and how that excitation propagates down a known path in the brain. And this is a procedure that you do in a hospital or in a clinic. It could be done at home or in an ambulance. We haven't done that yet. But it's using EEG. And what we've been able to do with EEG is incredible. You know, a lot of people, when they hear EEG, they think of squiggly lines, they think of power bands, they think of frequencies, alpha band, gamma band, you know, if you've heard some of these terms. I've flipped that entire paradigm on its head. We do not look at frequencies. We don't even look at you know, anything that's been done before. We stimulate the neuron, we see if it propagates, and we create a functional map of the brain. And it's a patented approach. And what we've been able to do, and this is the big mic drop moment, is we've been able to use artificial intelligence to reconstruct MRI images, to reconstruct PET images. You can basically get a PET scan without having to do a PET scan, thanks to our technology. It's so accurate that we can measure the amyloid burden in somebody's brain with greater precision than a spinal tap. This is unprecedented level of accuracy and precision. A spinal tap, you know, you're literally measuring the protein with a fluid, and we're measuring with the EEG. But
let me show you the clip, because I have a video from your company. Let's watch it.
Effective care for dementia patients requires proper diagnosis, which means that you need to know all you can about their conditions. Currently, we have limited options in the clinic, usually sending patients away for tests like PET scans and spinal taps. But with Vistim Labs, there's something you can do right now, today. EEG is already used for epilepsy and seizures. But what if it could also measure cognitive impairment, estimating endpoints like amyloid and tau proteins, and track disease progression? Our unique method gives clinicians in-clinic, same-day, clinical endpoints for proper and timely diagnosis. We are Vistim Labs. We help clinicians treat dementia patients. And this is our product, CASPA. CASPA is a patent-pending video and artificial intelligence protocol that tests visual motion processing across multiple areas in the brain to reveal brain patterns linked to dementia. Simply set up the EEG and have the patient watch our video. 30 minutes later, the assessment is complete, and CASPA Artificial Intelligence creates a patient report that you can use today. The CASPA patient report provides reliable estimates of gold standard dementia endpoints, including amyloid beta and tau accumulation, cognitive function, and more, giving you the right information you need to make the next decision with your patient. We are Vistim Labs, and we are committed to helping clinicians serve dementia patients. For more information or to schedule a demo, please reach a member of our team by emailing info@vistimlabs.com. Thank you very much.
The video is not quite as sexy. And
no,
it
is.
It's
very promising. I mean, it's very fascinating. Have you done like clinical studies? On which stage you are, guys? Did you get like what about communications with FDA? How is everything going? Like, what about implementation part?
Yeah. So from an implementation part, I mean, first of all, we've done many clinical studies. We are published. The video, it said we're patent pending. We are patented with a couple other patents that are pending as well. But the ability of the technology is so much farther than it was back then. I mean, we are now, our first product is PET scans by EEG. We're producing full resolution images, 3D images that you can open in regular PET scan software. We're doing the same thing with MRI. So really, I mean, we're making these tests a lot more accessible.
Yes, and it's cheaper than any PET, like actual old-fashioned.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, and it's safer. If you're reading the news,
yes, I know.
Brain cancers are up significantly because of the use of PET scans and some of these other imaging modalities.
Yes.
I mean, this is passive, it's safe. And in terms of where we're at, I mean, once again, patents are granted. Studies are done. We're launching our product in 30 days to our first customers.
So we're on time. My God, I reached you right on time. Look at this.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of the year, we'll be deployed, I think, in about 30 clinics or more. We already have licensing agreements that have come together. Universities across the country have reached out and are using our technology in new ways that I haven't predicted. For example, we have one study that is starting to get up and running. It's not active yet, but looking at tumors and using this as a way to localize.
Oh my God, there are so many diseases. There are so many opportunities.
Tumors, yeah. But we're doing traumatic brain injuries as well, multiple sclerosis. This is going to be the new way to do brain imaging for every disease. And by the way, even though our first product is, an alternative to PET scans, our technology is much more accurate than a PET scan. Much more accurate. We already have.
I took a look, more detailed look at the way you're collecting data. So it's basically gathering different type of information. You're putting together like different aspects, like tau protein. Like you're finding all those biomarkers involved, right?
We're measuring all of them with one test. Yeah.
With one. Okay. Which test? Which one test?
Our test, the Evoked Potential Tomography test.
Okay, so it's everything all together. You can track it basically.
Absolutely, and once again, not only can you track it, but fundamentally, the test that we're doing is more accurate than any of those endpoints that we provide. We're providing them because it's a product that doctors can use immediately. The idea of getting a PET scan every week, every month, whenever you want, without brain tumors, I mean, that right there is critical. So we're starting at that point. But we already have evidence that this is, I said, significantly more accurate. We can differentiate Alzheimer's from Parkinson's patients with over 95% accuracy. You know,
And I believe ahead of the time. I mean, with
yeah, I
early
mean, a PET scan's problem, besides being dangerous and expensive, is that they actually don't differentiate Parkinson's very well.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends a little bit on who you talk to, because it depends a little bit on who does the interpretation. But in general, you know, if you read the studies, the PET scan is having a really tough time seeing the difference between Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. And so the fact that we have over 95% is,
I know, and it's related to a lot of these. What I understood, it's like always it's a matter of like gathering. It's holistic approach. You can say that yes, it's if you will use just one scan, you have to have data. It's very hard to predict if you're dealing with one patient. See the patient first time. It's very hard to for diagnosis, for the treatment, for the tracking. The question is privacy. The question of privacy in terms of, you know, a lot of people, they have concerns relating gathering information, stating how are you dealing with no, I'm asking the wrong question. What is because when I ask people related to, you know, question related to privacy, ethic, etc., the best question to ask is, what is your values and attitude? Like, what do you think about like your value, your attitudes towards the law enforcement, etc. Because, you know, if you will take a look at the consumer usage, like in the consumer space in US law, there are every year we have something new coming. Biden made significant progress in terms of US customer protection, in terms of like fraud elections on the side of the app. There are a lot of things being done, and there are lots of things that companies supposed to do, disclose. For example, you have supposed to like take care, like disclose what you're going to do with the user's data. And the thing is, if there is any concern, you always have to delete the customer data. So the customer has more nowadays has more from the law. True, bless you. So more control. What is your perspective on the gathering? Because you know, it's always, see, the more because when the more data we're gathering from the human brain, the more we have to take care about protect human brain privacy, human brain integrity, right? So now when you're getting deeper and getting more knowledge regarding the individual's brain, it provides a lot of perspective in terms of like treatment, etc., but also in terms of like privacy and control. Did you think about it? Do you have any like special basically balances and checks, something that would protect your you know, patients from?
Yeah, so in terms of like regulations, privacy, ethics, you know, our strategy is to be fully embedded in the clinical system. So we are HIPAA compliant. We have the maximum level of security. I have a significant background actually in computer engineering and software development. So, you know, this is going to sound maybe scary for those of you who don't already know this, but no matter how secure you build a system, you know, it can always be hacked. And in most cases, it's social engineering. So no matter what you do to protect it, you know, 100%. if you get tricked, especially with AI pretending to be people, right? Like, what if someone pretends to be me, calls one of my engineers and says, "Hey, give me all the data," right? Like, that's a real threat. So, you know, we do a couple different things. We break the data into different areas so that if one area is compromised, you only have access to that data. And that data that you would access is de-anonymized. So you would have to hack all of our databases in order to get one patient's complete piece of information. So that's one side of it. One thing that we haven't implemented yet, because of how early and new we are, is that, you know, the reports, the generation of the reports that you saw in the video, you know, the PET scans, the MRIs, these are temporary objects. We don't need them. You know, my company does not need to hold on to those pictures. The doctor gets it, the doctor uses it, the doctor puts it in the EHR, we're done. So one of the things we haven't done yet, but what we will do is we're going to be deleting those reports, you know, once they get accessed by the doctor and the doctor's downloaded them. We might even just do an automatic timer, you know, 60 days, 90 days later, something of that nature. Because one of the things that's powerful about our program is that we take this EEG data, this evoked potential tomography, and our algorithms, which are not online, turn those that data into the pictures. So without having access to our algorithms, it would be impossible for someone to reverse engineer, to translate our EEG into a PET scan. So for that reason, all we have to do is hold on to the EEG. So if someone hacks us, they're not getting much.
I see. Yes. I mean, that's good. Thank you so much for sharing.
So,
I mean,
so that's pretty much my answer to that.
Yes, I understood. Yes, that's good. That's good. And basically, yes. And so basically, all the information that doctors get, it becomes belong to the doctor, and all those patient protection laws that applies. It's actually now it's basically stays with the doctor, and any like transfer information will happen between the medical centers and doctor, yes. Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much. Well, it was extremely fascinating. And I think it's already almost 30 minutes. And I know that there are lots of things we can discuss. And you know what? For now, I think I will let you go because it was very exciting. We had a lot of things to discuss. But that's not, I really would like to invite you again later because I have to process everything because I got things. And I believe it will be really amazing to meet again, you know, in a month or two. We'll see. Anyhow, extremely interesting. I believe, I hope a lot of people would like to take a look at the companies and everything. Good luck. Good luck with everything. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.